Hey, everybody, welcome back to the Top Flight Pod. You know what it is, you know what we're here to do. We're back on screen today, beautiful Austin, Texas. Today, we got a very special guest. We got Richie from Otra Por Favor. Now, you probably know him from the work that he does for Austin FC, content creation, independent, right? Him and Duke get a lot of great photos at Q2. They also have their podcast. So, let me just welcome in Richie here to the podcast. How are you doing, mate? Welcome to the show.
How's it going, Nan? Thank you for having me here, and I appreciate the me uh, sharing the space with you.
100%, bro. Shout out to you. Shout out to Rigo. Shout out to Duke, like I said. And there's been collabs already. We had Diego and Ozzy Cruz at our studio. It was a great pod. There's clips that are out that you guys can check out and laugh along too. Yesterday, actually, in the Spanish podcast, we kept laughing at the fact that there was the little puppy barks over some stuff, and we were like, "Hey!" It was hilarious, bro. No,
Yeah,
but
that kind of saved that move right there saved the episode, man. Because
it
the
really
last
did,
the
man.
last couple episodes they've been pretty wild.
It really did, bro. It really did. No, but shout out to you guys. Shout out to Diego. Shout out to Ozzy Cruz for all the great work coming out from the independent content creators in the Austin FC community. And like I said, if you haven't checked out his pod, make sure to follow him. Check out their great work. Not just Austin FC, traveling to also cover other games around the country, around the nation. So really big ups to the gentleman at Otra Por Favor. So, like I said, Richie, thank you for being here. And we got a pretty good show. We got a good show. We got a win to talk about more than anything, right? The 2-1 victory over Sporting Kansas City. Some international call ups or at least updates of what's going on with our guys on the international stage, right? It hasn't been all good, but a lineup just leaked. Costa Rica has Julio Cascante in the starting 11 for their match tonight, but we'll get there here in a bit. I want to send a shout out to the folks on Discord, shout out to the folks on Patreon. We're getting some cool guests here. This is the first one of many. So if there's either a podcaster or a journalist or reporter or something that you'd like to see guest on the pod, make sure to either drop it in the comments or send me a message if you'd like. I got some ideas, but we're starting off with Maji Richie from Otra Por Favor, like I said. So let's get into it, mate. 2-1 win over Sporting Kansas City. Austin FC gets the job done. De la mano de Owen Wolff, de la mano de CJ Fodrey, as they say in Spanish. And really just so many things coming out of this game when I'm talking about the stats. You know, you had Owen Wolff tied for top scorer in MLS with Uzuni and Brandon Vázquez. They all have 5 goals. CJ Fodrey banks his first MLS career goal. And Mateja, the new center back, makes his debut. And I have to say, from a lot of the things that I'm seeing on social media and some of the things that I saw as well with my own eyes, he impressed the entire fan base. Maybe more people than myself. I was a little bit of I had a little bit of an average take on him. I said, hey, let's not get too crazy. But everybody is telling me, hey, you're seeing it wrong. This guy had a great debut, and we're going to talk about him here in a bit. Before we get into those topics, I do want to ask you, Richie, what were your general thoughts on the win? That's how I like to start the pod. What did you think generally about this win, 2-1 over Sporting Kansas City?
I think it's a win that was needed. I know right now, basically, I, Austin is at the point where they can make their own path to
Mm,
playoffs without having to pull out the calculator and try to, to see what results happen, and then from that, what's going to happen for qualifying to playoffs. So seeing this result helps a lot, and especially because they had to patch the team with so many young guys. And, um,
exactly.
there's a lot of good calls that Nico did, and uh, I was looking forward to what's going to happen next when the international guys come back.
Exactly. Because with all those guys out, right, they're gonna have to come back soon, right? The international window's almost over, and when they come back, the squad changes. But like you said, it was good to see some of the young guys come up. It was good to see some of the help, the reinforcements, help us from the second team because that's what it's all about, right? Those guys are there working their butt off, trying to earn their spot in this first team. Sometimes it doesn't go as planned. We've seen a lot of guys, not make it to the first team that we thought were very talented from Austin FC too. Rodo Borrell kind of squashes that and says, hey, the level is just very, very different. But it's good to see a guy like CJ Fodrey, that was drafted to the first team, looking for minutes with Austin FC too. He ends up being the hero for the first team when so many guys are out. And that's going to be a big talking point. But before we get into Owen, CJ, Mateja, and some of the other guys, general thoughts from Nico Esteves on the win. Let's see what he had to say.
The biggest win of the year, considering the roster situation and being on the road.
I mean, I think every win that we have, even the other day against San Jose, we could say the same. And then that win, it leads us to this win, you know. I think every win is really important. I think probably, as you said, because of the moment of the season and how difficult it is to win games. We saw yesterday some opponents that are fighting to make the playoff couldn't win. You know, and even Kansas beat Colorado 4-2 last week, and we knew it's not going to be easy. I think Austin hasn't have a very good record here, also playing in Kansas. Then missing 4 or 5 players like the ones that we missed, including Savovich, you know, it could think everyone could think like we had a weaker roster in this week. But as I said from the beginning of the week, I trust a lot in this roster. I trust a lot in those players. Trust a lot in the young players that came from the second team and helped today to win this game. And I'm really happy and proud of everyone that was part of this game, was part of this roster and this trip, and gave us the chance to get the 3 points and move on.
There we go. Words from Coach Nico Esteves, where he was asked by Colby Gordon from the Statesman, is this the biggest win of the season? Because of the circumstances, right, Richie? Because of the players that were out, because of the guys that you knew you were going to be missing. I mean, just to name a few, Myrto, Uzuni, Danny Pereira, Cascante, Alexander Svatok, some of the younger guys, Micah Burton, Jimmy Farr Carlin, right? There's a lot of people that were missing, but like we had mentioned, there were guys that definitely stepped up. Now, some stats here, mate, as you see here, the guys that were out, and also Salovic with the injury, that definitely hurt Coach Nico and his plan. 31 goals for, 34 goals against, goal difference of -3. It's getting better, right? Only Minnesota, Vancouver, and LAFC have conceded less, but yet Austin FC sits in 6th and can get more comfortable at the top if they beat FC Dallas this Saturday. That is coming up, mate. So I want to talk about Owen Wolff before anything. I think that's a huge talking point tonight and also moving forward. Seems like he's getting a lot of love on social media. A lot of the U.S. men's national teams, a lot of the frustrated U.S. men's national teams are starting to realize, hey, there's other players in MLS that we're not paying attention to. There's other players that maybe could help this roster, right? There's so much criticism that's going into Pochettino and his decisions. And when Wolff cracked the top 50 best U.S. men's national team, well, not U.S. men's national team, but American players. And a lot of fans are asking themselves, why is Owen Wolff not being called up to the national team? That's a great question. And of course, we're going to get our thoughts across here. Now, Owen scores at the 37th minute. He assisted CJ Fodrey for the winner off of a corner kick, which he's been criticized a lot for his delivery. He has 8 goal contributions in the last 7 games for ATX. He has 5 goals, like I mentioned, tied with Uzuni and Brandon Vázquez, 7 assists in MLS 2025 so far. Honestly, I think he's in the best form of his life yet. He could still get better, believe it or not. He's a very young player. And according to the internet, some of the pages that I saw, they have him valued at around $3 to $4 million. And I got to say, yesterday's price is not today's price, mate. That's just the reality, right? Now, I want to ask you, what did you think of Owen Wolff's game overall? You know, before we get to his goal, just his game overall, mate. I have my thoughts, but I want to hear yours because this is a guy that's been in the system for a while. He was criticized by so many people. Now it seems like he's at the top of the mountain. What'd you think of Owen?
Man, I love seeing young guys grow. I think like Nico said, trust on the squad, trust in the guys, and Owen is a clear evidence of that. Um, from what I remember seeing last year from him, it's completely different now. A lot of things didn't work out last year, especially moved to so many different positions.
Mm-hmm.
But even whenever, for example, there was times, you know, being on the field, you get to see a lot of emotions from the players. And last year when when things weren't going well, you can see it on his face. You can see him feeling like unsettled, very bothered about mistakes, about not connecting. but this year is completely different. He's more relaxed. He's and a lot of it is probably just him. I'm assuming he's also been doing personal training himself,
Mm.
working on his his skills, working on his technique, because being able to do the plays that he has done recently, I mean, it takes practice, especially at a young age, you know, and whenever you had a target on your back for a while because you were
Mm-hmm.
the coach's son. Um, there's so many things that Rodo mentioned regarding Owen, and one of them was him saying uh, at the end of last season, he talked about he wanted to keep Owen, and there's something that he had he's wanted to polish. We're seeing that right now. It's good because if he does well, then our team does well. So I think he's learning to take the leadership role, and that's also good because it's only going to help his career if he's also trying to get to the national team level.
Exactly. No, 100%, bro. And on Owen Wolff's goal, I was thinking about this all day because I keep watching those highlights. You know what I'm saying? I keep watching those games. I'm sorry, I keep watching the highlights to that game because it was a great win away from home. I know Sporting Kansas City isn't like a Vancouver, they're not like an LAFC, they're not one of those top teams, right? But they have good players. Djordjevic has, I believe it was the third most goals in MLS right now. He's a solid player, champion with the Galaxy. He had to move out, right? He had to leave. Very sad the way that he left. I think he had a plastic bag with all of his belongings is how he left that stadium or whatnot. But on Owen's goal, what I wanted to say, especially on today's stream, is that to any youngster listening, to any young forward, any young player listening, if you go back and watch Owen Wolff, he barely picks his head up to look at the goal, right? He always has it up in the sky. He's looking at the ball. He controls it. Once he controls it, he takes a look at the defenders. Then when he's about to shoot, he takes a look at, I believe it's like the goalie to see where he's at. But one thing that doesn't change or that doesn't move is the goal. No matter where you are on the field, doesn't matter. The goalposts never move. It always stays at the same position. And when I saw Owen Wolff finish that pass from Guilherme Vito, which was a bomb, which it was absolutely beautiful, it was a dime. To me, this is a guy, Owen Wolff, that knew what he had to do as soon as that ball landed on his feet, as soon as he saw the defender's momentum take him another way, as soon as he picked up his little head and saw that the goalie was already out, it was going to be very difficult for him to make that save. Owen just puts it as best as he can to the side. And like I said, the goal doesn't move. And for any youngster out there, I remember Borghetti used to talk about this all the time. One of the best strikers in history, right? The best striker in Mexican national team football. Chicharito's up there, but only because of numbers. The goal never moves, mate. It never does. So as long as you have that in your head, that is such a help when you're either a forward or you're Owen Wolff that has played in many positions and he's taken the challenge from Coach Nico, like the commentators were saying. And I was just really happy for this guy, Owen Wolff. I mean, that finish was quality. The control was insane. And it's not just this game, Rich. I mean, you see all these Austin FC games. It's the last 7 games where Owen Wolff has put this team on his back and he says, you know what? Like you mentioned, I had the target on my back. Well, now I'm the one with the aim. I'm the one that's out here looking for the people or looking for the targets that I need to, get at. And I love what I'm seeing from Owen Wolff. I know it's not going to stop here. And I think it's more of a chip on his shoulder, knowing that, hey, I'm being just kind of just forgotten by the U.S. men's national team. And maybe that's feeding the fire. Maybe that's the thing that's keeping him going. And hopefully, he maintains that. He maintains that grit, that fight, that passion. And at the end of the day, he's an Austin FC player. And whatever happens with Owen, either next year or in the future, I mean, I'm just happy that it happened. I'm happy that he was here. And hey, if one day Owen Wolff is sold to a team abroad in Europe, Rodo Borrell is going to use that GAM for probably some really, really good things. But I mean, anything else you'd like to add, Richie, on Owen Wolff, man?
Man, just not think him growing helps with him, but also just like you said, I mean, when you're in the field and that second when he stopped right before putting it in, like that kind of tells the confidence in the player. And when you're young, you want that. And
Mhm.
also I think Rigo mentioned this a couple weeks ago. Whenever you see it on his face, he's focused, he's hungry, he's ready, he wants more, and especially at this time of the season, that's what you want from players. Um, you want to finish strong and you want to go into the playoffs with the best version of yourself. And I'm glad he's at that point.
100%, bro. I've heard from also some ex players that Owen Wolff in the locker room. He's one of the most mature players. He's very level headed. And I want to go back to something I said about Rolo Borrell. And if there's ever a sale of Owen Wolff, when you think about the crazy MLS roster rules and all that stuff, when you sell a player for a lot of money, you can turn. I believe it's I think like what is it? I forget the percentage, but you can convert a lot of that money into GAM. And of course, with GAM, you can use it to get all these players either from other MLS teams or whatnot. But it's very important, this monopoly money, this GAM, this TAM thing. And Rolo, in his recent press conference, he seemed very kind of frustrated at the fact that Austin FC hasn't had all to work with, right? We go back to when Fagundes was traded to the Galaxy. That brought almost $1 million worth of GAM or whatnot. It brought a lot of money of GAM for Austin FC. And although Rolo was kind of confused, of the situation, because hey, I just moved the guy that was going to bring us a bunch of GAM. I don't understand why everybody's upset, but his miscalculation came from the love of the fan base and what he meant to the people, what he meant to the team, to the club. But at the end of the day, he was an asset that Austin FC could move to acquire a good amount of money to move some pieces around and bring guys in. And if you really think about it, mate, Austin has never had a big sale. They never really had somebody. I mean, Drusi, right? Drusi was the only one, 10 million, but the ownership invested that again. And, you brought in, Brandon Vázquez, Myrto, Uzuni, Bukhari was already here or whatnot. But you get these players out of the team on a high, on a high sale or whatnot, kind of like an Owen Wolff, and things start getting better in that GAM department, in the money department. And I'm sure that Rolo Borrell is probably thinking about that. And honestly, as an Austin FC fan, as somebody that covers this team or whatnot, you kind of just have to sit back and almost observe kind of what the financial department is doing right now, because Rolo Borrell always talks about the terrible situation that he had when he came into the club. He says that he's making it better. The contracts definitely look better. A lot of these guys are making less money than previous players for Austin FC. And one of the last ones that kind of is still around, one of those last crazy contracts, is Cascante, making 700, close to 800,000, and he barely even plays for Austin FC. I mean, that's just some of the things that Austin is coming from. And now you have guys like Mateja, which we don't really know what he earns. You have guys like Svatog that earns a little bit of money. Brandon Heinzike making less than 300K. That's the kind of contracts that Rolo Borrell is bringing. And I go back to the Owen Wolff potential sale with all this attention that is around him. You sell Owen Wolff for $3, $4, $5 million. You convert a big chunk of that into GAM, and Rolo Borrell is probably finally going to get some sleep. We heard him talking about that he doesn't sleep, all these meetings or whatnot. But hey,
he's gonna update his list.
He can, mate.
No, it's no, but I think with that, I mean, just finance is just knowing where the problem is and how to fix it, and they know what the problem is. Now it's just a matter of finding ways to fix it. It's not gonna happen overnight either. Hope Owen does well and he's healthy too. And when he gets sold, like you said, we haven't really sold players compared to other teams who sold players for a bigger amount of and get GAM.
Yeah.
So we just need that type of injection. I think that's gonna help quite a bit, and from that we can get, I don't know. Now, and I'm trying to say like Cascante should be out, so they're just thinking of, okay, if Cascante is out next season and Owen is out next season, how much starting GAM you can play with and how many more players you can bring within that allocation.
Exactly. But we'll see what they do, right? We're not in the war room whenever they're talking about contracts, when they're trying to bring in a player, when they're trying to sell a player or whatnot. But I have confidence in Rolo Borrell's scouting team and Rolo Borrell himself, that with the big sale, they're going to be able to do bigger things. And Owen Wolff, honestly, it seems like he's teetering into that realm of, hey, this is a guy that a lot of teams are going to come knocking on the Austin FC door, asking Borrell, what do you want from him? How much you want from him? And like I said, yesterday's price is not today's price. It is not. Now, I want to talk about CJ Fodrey, maybe, because this is another guy that had a lot of fans, happy he's the one that got the win for Austin FC, right? The 2-1 header, it was beautiful. And looking back at the highlights, looking back at how the goal was scored, you see CJ Fodrey there in the middle of everything, in the middle of everybody, right? He's kind of being marked. He's not really getting picked up by somebody. They're kind of just forgetting about him. And he loses his man, runs to the front post. And I've seen so many great headers of the ball throughout history, just slightly jump, get a small touch on the ball, and it's always enough to get the goalkeeper, because from that angle, with so many bodies in front of him, all you need is just the slightest touch, and the goalie has nothing to do in that situation. Great ball from Owen Wolff. It was perfectly placed, and you could tell, man, you could tell that it was something from the training ground. And I gotta give credit to, who was it? I know it's one of the Nicos, Nico Bosch, if I'm not mistaken, from the training ground. This is a play from the training ground. You could tell right away that this was something that they had planned out. CJ Fodrey loses his man, rises to the occasion, and gets the 3 points for Austin FC on the night. What'd you think about him, man? What'd you think of his game? I mean, this is a guy that a lot of fans are very happy for right now.
And CJ needs minutes. I think the more minutes you give him, the more you're gonna know the quality of player he is. Because we've seen him with Austin FC too. We haven't seen much of him with the main team, but I mean, we've seen what he can do a couple of times already. One was last year doing an assist to Rigoni in Houston, so we can win. And then the game, he's not afraid to go up in the air either. He's not afraid to try to find those balls. And I think this is a matter of time, and also for him to continue to take advantage of the opportunities, and any chance he gets, whether it's a pass, whether it's a shot, or whether it's something like this where he scores, it's all gonna go be his benefit. And I think I mean, just looking at that and looking, the Austin FC 2 players is, how can you get them closer, closing the gap between both competitions. And I think CJ is a very good example of, hey, even though in the press conference last week, there was a talk about, the gap is different, like it's huge, but given the minutes, it's only going to help. Given the minutes, it's only going to be able to narrow that. And him being like this season, he's been on the team pretty much the whole season, even if it's on a bench, even if it's only coming in for a couple minutes. But him just being part of the first team and not going back to FC, so that's going to help him, because now he's going to be like, hey, I have nowhere else to go but to get minutes. And when you have a player that's young like that, same as Owen, hungry, I mean, it's the best that can happen. Decision making could be one thing, his runs, improving that, but I think a lot of that could just be, over time. And as long as Nico puts him in, especially in games like, say, for example, what if, I don't know, like last game against LAFC, we have a deciding play in the last 30 minutes. You're going to bring in Owen or not? So it's just a matter of, do you want him in and put on the hustle and make him earn his spot? But he's also going to continue to do it. I do remember him particularly training while during the MLS start, the MLS players were training in the main field. I do remember him training by himself on the turf field on the St. David. So that's him showing that he's not, like, physically he's good. You can see physically he's not like gordito. He's in good shape.
100%.
But the only way you can improve in the field is just playing the game.
No, totally, bro. Look at this. I mean, we got here CJ Fodrey. Can you spot him? I can. It's the freaking swollest dude. It's the dude that looks the best without his shirt on. I mean, come on, CJ. What kind of protein plan they got this guy on, man? What kind of meal plan they got CJ Fodrey on? I mean, looks like a college boy, looks like a bro. I mean, he's in great physical shape. He's a youngster. And just like you said, man, I mean, everything that was said in that press conference, I think FCito does deserve a little bit more respect. They do deserve a little bit more, not necessarily just, just hand out praise or whatnot. But I do think that, hey, if the gap is huge, if the gap is big, well, what are we doing to close that gap, right? What are we doing to close that, right? It's easy to say, oh, we can't bring anybody up because, they can't help us, because there's a huge difference here, blah, blah, blah. But what are we doing to try to close that? Are we working hard to try to close that gap, right? Hopefully this is just the start of more help from Austin FC2, more real promotions from Austin FC2, and not these just short-term agreements that CJ doesn't really have to use them because he is a first team player. But guys like Adrian Gonzalez, Antonio Gomez, Irvin Torres, they're guys that are used with those short-term loan agreements. Antonio used his last one. Irvin Torres, I believe, maybe has one or two left, and this was Adrian Gonzalez's first one. So we'll see just if there's any more of these that are going to be needed throughout the year. We have guys that are going to be coming back. Not many games left. The playoffs are there, right? But we'll see. We'll see what happens. But CJ, I'm happy for him getting his first goal, his first career MLS goal. And what a moment to do it. I mean, you get the game winner. It's an assist from your homeboy, Owen Wolff. He says that he blacked out a little bit in the goal celebrations. I mean, it looked like he wanted to celebrate by himself, and then he remembered, oh, wait, it was my buddy Owen. And then he goes to Owen, and then everybody jumps on him. And it was a beautiful photo that they captured of everybody just celebrating that goal. And for many reasons, man. I mean, the win counts for a lot, right? But then also you have the playoff push for Austin FC, right? I mean, there was so many things going into that match.
Man, CJ's goal reminds me of a guy that scored, I think, 3 or 4 goals at the last media cup in the Q2.
I wasn't gonna bring it up. I wasn't gonna bring it up. I swear to God, I wasn't gonna bring it up. But I did score a header just like that at the Media Cup game, and I thought about it. And I was like, that was a really nice header, CJ. Really nice. Thank you for bringing that up because I wanted to, but I was like, nah, but don't do it.
Hey, man, you got to give yourself proper once in a while.
You're right, man. You're right. No, but I'm happy for CJ. Scored at the 84th minute from a corner by his buddy. Straight from the training ground, like I said. You got to give credit to Nico Bosch, most likely. He's the one that helps Nico gets these plays, prepared on the training ground. And, hopefully this is the first of many for young CJ. He's a left winger that's converted to striker thanks to what Coach Nico saw at the beginning of the year. He said, coach saw something and he asked me if I wanted to change position. Probably like you said, Richie, his figure, his physique, it's that of a striker. And CJ himself, he said, hey, I see it as a challenge, but I'm kind of welcoming it, right? He doesn't mind playing striker for Austin FC. I mean, I'm sure it's easy to say after you just scored the game winner, but hey, let's see if he can build off of this. Let's see if he can now get more opportunities. He showed he showed Rodo that he can provide something for this team, and we'll see just how things are moving forward because you still don't have Brandon Vázquez, but at least this shows the coaching staff that if they're in a pickle in the last 10 or 15 minutes, you can look at this youngster, CJ Fodrey, to help you get some kind of result either at home or on the road. And also, I want to give credit to CJ Fodrey for showing maturity because I didn't shut him down after what he did against Dallas, where he selfishly took a shot. But I was like, hey, you know what? Sometimes you got to make these selfish decisions because they end up leading to, great goals. And I was like, no, you cannot hate on this guy because young players, young strikers, they need to have that confidence, right? They need to have sometimes that selfishness. And I was really happy with CJ Fodrey in this match against SKC because there was multiple moments in this match where he elects to make the right decision. I was happy with him. I'm thinking about the play where he was going down the field and he lays it off to the incoming Robert Taylor, who had his hands up. He was saying, hey, pass it here. The shot from Robert Taylor is kind of soft. It's very central. The keeper makes a good save, but it's a save that the keeper can make, right? If it was a little bit more to the side, I think it would have been more difficult. But no, I like what I saw from CJ, right? Obviously the goal. And then he hits the post. And just real quick, those headers where your momentum is kind of going backwards, right? And you try to, header it into the goal where everything is taking you back. It's difficult. Only Drusy was able to pull one of those headers off and the insane quality that he has. But you know what I mean, right?
Man, that post, that post and then the save at the end where Stuver blocked it just close to the line. I can't remember exact play, but those two right there, all right, man. We have a narrative this season compared to last 2 seasons. We have something, 100%. And I think you want to work on it. Yeah, there's so many wrongs, but there's also, rights too. And it's getting more rights than wrongs is going to help you. So
I agree.
This goal
I
right here
agree.
is a good example of that.
I agree, man. It's about getting more rights than wrong. You know, CJ's a young guy, just like you said earlier. You got to give him minutes for him to develop as a player, as a person, see what he can do good, what he can do bad, because he can sit on the bench and you don't know what he can give you at the first team level. But with these opportunities and him taking advantage of the opportunities, it's only going to lead to good things for Mr. CJ Fodrey, for the youngster. CJ Fodrey and Coach Nico, he was like, I like to give the young guys opportunities. And we know that for a fact because Coach Nico has always worked with the youth, with Valencia, with Columbus, with FC Dallas, and now with Austin FC. Now, another young player, mate, another young player that Coach Nico, was kind of very happy with, and I know a lot of the fans were also happy with, was Mateja Djordjevic. Now, his debut was probably a dream debut, I must say. It was a relief for the fan base, although the clean sheet wasn't there. It was a silly penalty that was given away. We'll get to that here after this player, but we got to talk about his debut. 90 minutes, 43 out of 49 passes completed. He had 59 touches on the ball, 6 out of 8 long balls. He had 5 defensive clearances, a match rating of 7.1. And I got to ask you, what are your thoughts on his debut? Is he a potential future starter for the club? I got my thoughts, but I want to get yours first.
And I think from the past, we had too many guys that take some months to finally get ready and play. But he comes in and a week or two that he came and started playing. That's what you want. Hey, it doesn't matter what ship you're in, just go out there and you're getting paid to play. So the fact that you're a professional, you always got to be ready. So him getting his start and him getting this game, I mean, at the moment, it's great. It's just a matter of the only guy. Tommy's going to tell, and also him, like he's only going to be able to know how much he wants to take that position, because now you have options. You have depth. You have 4 defenders: Hindsight, Satok, Cascante, and Mateja. So the Mateja, it's he has the body. He has a good pacing, a good timing. He's not afraid to hold the ball either, especially for the type of type of play that Austin FC has. That's what we need. So as long as he can, like you said earlier about CJ and Owen, he keeps that hunger. It's only gonna be better for him, and it was good. It's a relief because we went from having someone like Beloto who came in for 2 months and didn't get to play to now having a guy that we just got and getting that chance to start. And the moment that he started, it was great. But now, how he's gonna react on the tougher games when you play LAFC, when you play Dallas this weekend at home, away in Frisco. You play San Jose again. Say Seattle. How is he gonna do in those type of games?
Exactly.
Is he gonna be able to keep composure, his form, or is he gonna we're also gonna get to see some mistakes that he makes. So now he's just like helping he recover from that.
100%. Now, graphic here from Verde Nation ATX. Beautiful graphic showing Mateja's stats from his debut. Got the little patch on his jersey and everything. And no, I mean, I think he like I said earlier, it was a solid debut. It brought a lot of relief to the fan base, right? To know that this new guy that kind of was just thrown to the fire, thrown to the wolves in a moment where a lot of guys were out, Svatok, Julio, Cascante. It was just kind of like a perfect opportunity for Mateja to, make his debut, to show the fan base what he can do. And just like what you said earlier, I really like what you said earlier. You said he's a professional, and sometimes you just got to be thrown out into these situations. And that's what I told Diego and Ozzy. I was nervous, but he is a professional player at the end of the day, and this is expected of him, right? He was a little bit thrown out to the wolves. We got to be real, thrown out to the fire, but he did well. He did well. He held his own against a tough defense, versus a tough striker like Djordjevic. And I think Mateja definitely, brought a sense of relief to the fan base, knowing like, hey, if one day Svatok goes down, if one day Brendan Hindsight goes down, if one day Cascante, leaves the club or goes down injured, Mateja's there. Mateja can perform. He can step up. And like I said, I'm wondering if this is a sign of a guy that's going to be starting next year or in the near future for Austin FC. I don't want to get too ahead of myself. I don't want to put too much pressure on the lad, but I'm sure that a lot of fans are going to start wondering to themselves, hey, we got a good signing. We got a guy that's going to be solid at the back. Maybe a little bit of memories of Ruben Gabrielson there, right? I don't want to get too crazy, but it's a good sign when a player is thrown out to the pitch with so little time to train with the team, so little time to be with this new side, and to perform the way that he did based on the rewatch of some of the highlights that I saw. I'm happy with this guy. I'm happy with Mateja, and I want him to be a starter for Austin FC in the near future. Not just yet. He still has to work for it. Svatok and BHI have been doing a really good job together. But if one day one of those guys isn't here or cannot play due to an injury or something, Mateja's there, and I'm happy. I'm happy Mateja is there for Austin FC. Anything else you would like to add on him, mate? I think it was a solid debut.
Hey, man, he had a good beard line, so that always helps. Still looking in the jersey, so I'm pretty sure there was that one group on Los Verdes, HBMF.
Oh, he made it. He made it in there.
He made it there. I've probably seen some comments about him already.
Oh, man, I mean, you're right. Look at it. Look at the fade. Look at the beard line. I mean, dude is also kind of swole himself. His arm looks like a tree trunk there. Look at that Siete logo, and you can just see his bicep and tricep, some action there.
Yeah. I mean, right now, if he came in with not in the best shape, how is he going?
Facts.
How is he going to be with his best version of himself?
And also look at him on this photo. While everybody just kind of seems hyped up. You have Mateja all the way to the right. You have Ilya Sanchez all the way to the left. They just look like chill guys. They look like they're just chill. There's like, hey, it's not my first rodeo, and hopefully it's the first of many good games from Mateja. Overall, he did good, solid match. At the end of the day, his match rating was a 7.1, if I'm not mistaken. So, boom, there we go. Mateja, welcome to Austin FC.
The 59, like that. That's good. That's what you want.
Exactly. No, totally, man. Totally. Now, I want to talk about some other things that happened in this match, right? There were another important moments was the penalty that was called against Djordjevic and Austin FC. And the main question behind it is, was it correctly called? Was it a soft penalty? We have some words from Coach Nico. We'll hear from him, and then we will react to what he had to say.
VAR was justified in that, or do you think that was maybe a little bit soft?
I haven't watched. It probably is soft because this year all our penalties are soft, and for whatever reason, we are not having lucky this year with the VAR, with the referees, with on that calls. We are not being fortunate, if it's a way to say, but also with the pro to see why they call the penalty. It seems really soft. Yesterday also in the game, Ortiz went down from Houston again and didn't call the penalty. For whatever they will have any reason to do it, but I think any soft penalty against us is going to be a penalty this year.
Coach better watch out, man. I don't want him to get fined. I don't want him to get fined by pro. I don't want that, man. I keep your money in your pocket, Coach Nico. But no, sometimes you just got to speak up. Sometimes you just got to speak out. I have my thoughts on this. Whenever the referee, whenever he was taking a VAR, VAR is there to say, hey, you should take another look at this or whatnot. But sometimes I want to see a referee say, hey, VAR, I appreciate you calling me over, but my decision is my decision. Sometimes I feel like VAR is the one that's really in power. They're really in charge, and the referee is just there. This one is obviously reversed. The referee comes back from the monitor. He gives it. Djordjevic puts it away. But I don't want to. I don't want to I just don't want to just drag Nico Djordjevic too much for this, because he's a youngster. He's not the line of he's not the only and last line of defense. You have center backs, you have fullbacks there as well. But where I will give criticism to Nico Djordjevic was that when you're behind a guy and he's going into the box, you have to be extremely careful because any kind of content in the box, you know that these guys are going to flop once they feel it. And if they could sell it, the referee is going to buy it, much like we saw against SKC. And that kind of goes to what Coach Nico is saying. Any penalty, any soft PK is going to be called against us because we just don't have any luck this year. And it's not just Nico, because if you look at that play, you see how Djordjevic is able to just slice through the defense. Maybe there's some slight miscommunication or maybe a chemistry issue, because I thought Mateja was way too close to Mikel Dessler in that. You know, I really did think that they should have stopped Djordjevic before that he went into the box and then laid it off to the SKC player that, you know, Nico Djordjevic ended up fouling. So I'm not going to give these guys the, oh no, Mijo, it's not your fault. No, I'm going to say, yes, this was soft, but there's fault in this to give as well. You got to be smarter. You got to know where you're at on the field, and you got to close guys down like Djordjevic before they get in an area where they can really, really make you, you know, where they can really just inflict pain or just hurt you, is what I'm trying to say. What do you think about this whole PK, man?
Yeah, man, I think just decisions in the last part of, like, you know, in our the last line of defense, small area, you're always gonna have forwards looking for those penalties, and I think you got to just be smarter, better decisions, because, like earlier, thinking of, you know, this could happen in, you know, games that are really more meaningful, like in the playoffs, for example, where you can have VAR just counting the penalty that's soft like this on round one of playoffs in 95 minutes. If we're not really careful, I think a lot of it is just keeping focused, you know, being ready and learning to when communicate as well, coordinate, work on that through training so you can avoid that. Because you also don't, the best thing to do is just not get in those situations and stop the players before they even get right there. So I think like you said, that goes with, hey, like, instead of having those players push all the way in, work on them not going in that area. So
100%.
I think I mean, it's stuff. I'm a believer of, you got to call the whistle, whatever the ref says. Sometimes it's soft, sometimes it's like stupid. But for example, against, I can't remember if it was Houston or Dallas, but there was a couple of penalties. I'm like, you know what? One of those should have been at least a regression, just the way Obrianka or Brand or Bucati, I can't remember exactly, but just that's how they're getting regression for VAR. Then Austin should get a couple of those. I mean, just even if it's just like a bit of uncertainty, just for reassurance, because you never know. And but the one thing that penalty happened, it sucked, but then there was a way to revert that by scoring two, you know, and getting the win. So that's what matters as well. But you gotta be focused and know when to hit another guy, you know, or where to hit another guy.
Exactly. And you know, one famous quote, I believe this is it from Mike Tyson or Muhammad Ali? It says everybody got to play until they get punched in the face, right? And I do want to give credit to the team for getting punched in the face, right, with this penalty from VAR, Djordjevic, who puts it into the back of the net. But their response, kind of like what you're saying, is what I really appreciated, because you can go down 1-0, and though Austin FC, they hadn't done it this season at all, they were able to rally, right? They were able to rally together. They were able to, you know, come back for the first time this season, and they're able to celebrate, you know, the first comeback win of 2025. And Diego asked Coach Nico, you know, kind of something like that, on what his plan was after he got scored on. And it's in Spanish. We will translate it here, but let's see what Coach Nico had to say on that whole situation of kind of getting punched in the mouth and then responding.
También preguntarle, vuelvo con lo del penal, pero preguntarle qué tanto le cambia el penal o recibir un gol en contra en los primeros 15 minutos, y si hubo algún cambio de táctica para tratar de empatar el partido.
Diego Valencia, they're asking, like, hey, you know, you got scored on in the first 15 minutes. How much did that change your plan? How much did that change the way that you were looking at this match? You know, just how much of a difficulty was that, is what Diego asked. And this is what Coach Nico says.
Sí, nosotros ya estábamos viendo que la manera en la que estábamos presionando no estaba funcionando bien, porque nos estaba metiendo atrás y estábamos dejándole mucho terreno, ¿no? Entonces, nosotros ya estábamos planeando el cambio a defender en 4-4-2, subir a Johnny un poquito más arriba, porque, bueno, esperábamos una cosa de ellos han ido cambiando en la primera parte al vernos ajustar eso. Entonces nosotros hemos tenido que ajustar también de nuevo y la verdad que nos ha ayudado mucho porque a partir de ahí pues hemos tenido un poquito más de control, hemos robado mucho más balones arriba y eso ha hecho que pudiéramos contraatacar y tener más momentos de balón y de ataque.
Gracias.
De nada.
Coach Nico, they're kind of just saying, hey, we saw some stuff that, that we had to change. We saw some things that we were trying to do, some things that weren't working. And, Coach Nico kind of just saying that right there, that how he responded to the punch in the face. And you got to give him credit. His team ended up getting those 2 goals that got them the important 3 points that really just kind of solidify your position in the Western Conference. Not all 100%, not all 100%, but as you can see here, ATX in the 6th position in the West with 41 points, tied for 5th with LAFC. The next opponent is FC Dallas. They're in 12. They got 31 points made. But if you beat them, you can fight with Seattle for a top 4 spot. You're going to have to play them here soon. They're coming to Q2 at the middle of September. So that's going to be an interesting matchup. They are the Leagues Cup winner. But hey, anything is impossible. Playing ugly, this team got a result. Playing beautifully, this team can get a result. And that's a good sign. That's a good sign of a team. But Richie, any thoughts on what Coach Nico had to say there on the reaction to the penalty from them?
Adjusting to the game. I think we're having a lot of that this year. Adjusting to whatever happens, but also seeing what the other team is doing too. They help a lot. Something that we didn't really see in the past. A lot of it was just like, oh, we're gonna just stick to our style and that's it. Sometimes it could be a minimal. Sometimes it could be just having a player, hey, we keep it on the right side, keep running it. Sometimes you have to stay long ball, all day, every day. So you put it in, but adjusting it's the thing. Because you don't want to, for someone like with the team that you had, patched up with young guys, you didn't want to play a toe-to-toe pass, a man-to-man. You wanted to use the speed as much as you can with long balls, and I think he was able to do that. And props to him.
100%, man. Props to him. Props to the team. Coach Nico himself said that he was very proud of everybody that was part of this roster, part of this group, part of this win. Coach Nico Estevez is just proud of his guys, right? Now, like I said, mate, like we're talking about, you got FC Dallas that's coming up next. Big game for Austin FC. We got the matches that are coming up here. FC Dallas, Saturday, September 13th. That is coming up 7:30 p.m. away from home. And then this is your final chance to get ready for the U.S. Open Cup semifinal. Hopefully nobody gets hurt against FC Dallas. Madre mia, I hope I did not just jinx it. We need everybody for the Minnesota matchup. But hey, you get Seattle, Real Salt Lake, St. Louis, LAFC, and you close out the season versus San Jose, un rival, a rival San Jose. It's always a very interesting matchup with those guys from California. But no, on the FC Dallas part, mate, I mean, I just want to bring up some notes here. You have FC Dallas, they're coming in 12th with 31 points. Their goalkeeper, Jacob Jackson, he was named MLS Player of the Match Day for his insane amount of saves versus St. Louis. He had 11 saves. 9 of them were inside the box. He apparently tied the club record most ever by a rookie goalkeeper in a debut since 1998. And also, you can't forget who they got up top. You got Pitar Musa. He has 14 goals, almost as many as Austin's top 3 goal scorers, which is Uzuni, Brandon Vázquez, and Owen Wolff. Combined, they have 15 goals in MLS, not counting the Open Cup stuff. And I also have to mention, mate, Dessler and Biru, if I'm not mistaken, they're both on yellow card accumulation warnings. And the last thing that's important in this Dallas game is Coach Nico returns to Frisco. I'm sure the fans are gonna give him a little bit of flack, a little bit of whistles, a little bit of here and there. But hey, Nico Estevez, you're an Austin FC guy now, and if you get the 3 points against Dallas, a lot of people are gonna really like you, Coach. So no, I have my prediction. I think Austin FC is gonna win this game comfortably with everybody back. Dani Pereira has to get his mind right, and we'll talk about why he has to get his mind right. But with everybody coming back, with all the elements being available for Coach Nico except Savovic, I think this team can get the result away from home. Although they have some things going for them on the FC Dallas, I'm talking about their goalkeeper stats or whatnot. This is an Austin FC side that has enough resources to bring the 3 points from Frisco, come back down I-35, and start to think about the historic U.S. Open Cup semifinal that could potentially earn you a spot in the final. Guess where? In Austin, Texas. But you know this, Richie. You know this very well. But on the FC Dallas point, man, I mean, this is a game that a lot of fans are going to go to. Nobody wants to lose this game. So how are you feeling going into this match?
The best time to have a derby, man. A Texas derby. Best time to
Facts.
have it. You want to if you want to put your foot on the ground and make a statement like this is it. Shut down someone like Musa, who's a guy's he's very good. He's good on his positioning with the ball, without the ball. He's contributing quite a bit to his team. So they rely on him a lot. So as long as you can shut him down, that helps. And no, I mean if Mateja starts, this is a good test for him to see what he's made out of against someone like Musa. You always want to test yourself when you're young against someone like in that caliber. I think Austin's gonna pull a close one. I believe, if not at least a tie. But for sure, a loss is if they lose this game, it's gonna be detrimental, and it's not gonna go well. And if you win, I mean, the confidence you're gonna have going into the semifinal against Minnesota. So that always helps. And Nico going back to Dallas, I love it, man. I love it because that's a little more spiciness to the derby. Yeah? That's a little
I
more
agree.
moldable, more to talk about. Because then
100%.
for us to be like, hey, you know what? We're Nico's getting the best version of himself with us, and he couldn't do it with you guys. So we're doing something good. So I think Nico's feeling the pressure. You can see it in his eyes. You can see it in the press conferences, more serious. At the beginning of the season, he was always like clapping. Now he's always like, "Come on, man! Like, let's get it together." So you want that from the coach.
I'm glad other people have noticed it too, because kind of like an inside joke that I have within myself is I wonder what job stresses somebody more, the president of the United States or the Austin FC head coaching job? Because we saw Obama when he went into the to his first year, right? He looked like a very young man. When he finished his second term, gray hairs, all this, he aged in extremely fast. Nico Estevez also looks like he's aging pretty quickly with Austin FC. And no, like you said, he's more serious now. He's a very serious coach now, and I appreciate that from him, right? And like you said, it's a perfect time to have a derby right now because of the run that Austin FC is in right now, the form that Owen Wolff is in right now. And Myrto Uzuni, we're hoping and praying that there's no bad injury to him. It's just a precaution. We'll get to that here right now. But everything is pointing to Austin FC having a comfortable match against Dallas. But it's so easy to say. It's so easy to say because there's no easy team in MLS. We hear that all the time. You can't be confident. You can't be, thinking that you're going to beat a team because, you're in this spot of the table and they're in this spot of the table. That's not how it works here in MLS. And as much as I want to push back against that, I have to agree. It's so difficult in this league, man. What do you think?
Yeah, man. I mean, you can have, I can't remember who beat LAFC out of nowhere in LA this season. You have those type of games. I mean, even us, we beat LAFC in LAFC, having one of the worst moments of the season. So, and we've tied against Colorado here whenever they're last place. So I think with the league, I like how it is because you gotta be ready physically too. Besides the game, besides
Facts.
being good with the ball, because you never know, man. You can get outrun by a guy, and there goes a chance for the other team.
Are you confident in this derby coming up? You confident in it?
I'm confident.
Yeah,
I'm confident. Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, compared
think
to
so.
if you were to ask me 2 years ago, I would have been like, I don't know, man.
Well,
But now, even last year, now we're like, you know what? I feel like there's less drama in the locker room. There's
Yeah.
more like more wanting this, a playoff spot. I mean, you don't want to lose to Dallas after signing them here either. And lastly, I mean, you want to continue that momentum, and I think if it all goes well, and you get to that semifinal against Minnesota, and you get the final here, like now you're actually planning for something where we didn't get to plan for things in the previous seasons, and that's what you want. You always want to have a plan. How are you going to go higher instead of like trying to figure out like, man, are we even going to make it? Are we even going to be making it to playoffs this season? Now we're in this position. Just keep it and keep adding so we can also close in the playoffs. Top four, the home game advantage. There's a lot that comes when you take advantage of results and then earn those points.
Yeah, no, totally, man, totally. But we'll see what happens against Frisco, against FC Dallas. I'm confident in this Austin FC side. I'm confident that they're going to get the job done. Playing ugly, they're getting results. Playing well, they're getting results. And although they're not home, I'm not worried because they've been a better road team this year. I'm talking about Austin FC. Now, mate, last topics here of the night is the international call-ups that our lads had, our team, our boys. Only Julio Cascante, Jimmy Farcarlin really saw minutes. We had Myrto Uzuni, who missed the first game, which was a friendly, right? Didn't really have much need to play in that. But also Albania had a World Cup qualifier that he was left out of, but it was only a precaution. There was a slight problem with his thigh, with his quad. We were let know of that from the Austin FC communications department before the match against San Jose, where he was listed as questionable. But even then, he played 64 minutes. He got a goal against San Jose from assist of Osman Bukhari. He kind of gave him half the goal, so he just had to almost tap it in or whatnot. But you still got to put the ball into the back of the net. I've seen Chicharito miss him from that range. Shout
A
out to
goal,
Mikey
is, a goal
Chicharo.
is a goal, man.
Goal's a goal. Goal's a goal, right? They all count the same. Own goals. And Osman had one of those. Well, not him that he scored it, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I do want to mention that Danny Pereira is probably going to be crying tonight. And hey, men cry. Grown men cry, right? Anybody can cry. And the reason why Danny Pereira is going to be upset tonight, really the whole country of Venezuela, my G Alex, Salome, everybody that's a Venezuela national team fan, mate, they lost to Colombia 6-3 tonight. Bolivia defeated Brazil 1-0. That is enough to leave them out of the 2026 World Cup. How sad, brother. How sad that Venezuela, after starting so well this campaign in CONMEBOL, they finished so embarrassing. Being left out because of Bolivia, that's an embarrassment, bro. What do you think about that?
Man, just Bolivia having negative 18 goal difference and still not, I mean, losing it by 1 point in the table. This is the World Cup for Venezuela to go. They're just, but this type of games, you gotta show up at home. You gotta show up, for your people. And I don't know if Venezuela didn't make it to this World Cup with the squad that they have right now. I don't know what's gonna happen in the future. I don't know much about the team. I mean, I could see play here at the Q2 in Copa America, but it's gonna be a long road ahead for the next 4 years. Because not going to a World Cup, I mean, it changes everything. It changes your plans. It changes, the players. It changes the morale of the team. A lot of things. Like for example, look at Chile. Chile, it's what their third World Cup they haven't gone in a row after winning 2 Copa Americas.
Mm-hmm.
So
facts.
I think this is gonna be it's a tough pill to swallow, man. And my love to Venezuela. I got a lot of Venezuelan friends. I'm sorry to hear about this. Dani Pereira, just, you're not gonna get a chance to the World Cup. So I don't know, man. I mean, 6-3 at home at the last game to make it to the World Cup. This should have been your game to, hey, you know what? I really want to go. Like I wanted more than Bolivia. And they didn't get it.
Yep.
So
They didn't get it. They didn't get it, mate. Now, Alexander Svatok, he didn't really see any minutes with his national team. I believe he was on the bench. It was just a difficult moment for him, difficult moment for Ukraine or whatnot. And yeah, hopefully he sees more minutes in the future. It's not all said and done for them. I'm not exactly sure where they are on the table, but I do know that Svatok didn't really feature with them. Jimmy Farcarlin got some minutes. I don't know exactly what Micah Burton did with his national team with the U20s. There's not a lot of information out on them, but I'm excited for them to come back. I'm excited for them to come back to Austin. I'm excited for them to be here and contribute to the sides again. And that's all that's kind of on my mind. No injuries, no nothing. That's where I'm at. Just come back to Austin already, guys.
Yeah, I think Ukraine still got four games left in the qualifiers. So my niece will be happy.
Well, that's good. That's good, mate. Well, we got FC Dallas coming up on Saturday, brother. Austin FC is flying high right now. They could fight for a top 4 spot. Nobody is injured except Salovic. It is what it is. Hopefully it's a fast recovery. But there's other guys that are going to step up. You have Ilya Sanchez, Nico Duersarski, maybe an Irvin Torres. He did see some minutes in the game, right? We'll see what happens there. But overall, it's a good moment right now for Austin FC. It's a good moment for the Austin FC fans. It's a good moment for the people covering this team, right? There's a lot of positivity. There's a lot of ups right now, not many lows, although there is some that you can point out, some that you can find. But overall, it's a good sentiment around the Verde community, right? I mean, that's kind of how I'm seeing everything right now.
Yeah, man. Looking forward to this weekend. Unfortunately, I'm not gonna be able to travel to Dallas. I had
Me either, brother. Me either. Don't worry.
The recording for Saturday afternoon, so I can't go. But everybody who's traveling, safe travels and be loud. Be loud in the stadium and come back with 3 points.
Yeah, 100%. Come back with 3 points, and the Austin FC fans are going to be so happy, I must say. But like I said at the beginning of the show, Richie, thank you for being here. Thank you for being a guest on the pod. Shout out to my G's at Otra Por Favor. Shout out to Duke and Rigo. A lot of good stuff coming out from that platform. If you're not following them already, make sure to do so. So, Richie, I mean, any closing comments you'd like to add? Any shameless plugs that you'd like to throw out there? This is the moment, brother.
Man, we'll leave the shameless plugs for when you come to Otra.
Wait, say it again.
No, we'll leave the shameless plug when you come to Otra.
Okay, all right, all right.
Man, we would love to have you, back in the studio eventually, and have some tequila or some volada vodka.
I like tequila. I do like tequila, mate. I do. Fun fact about me. I don't really drink beer, but I can drink tequila. Just have some lemon or some lime and have some, salt for me, brother. Better watch out, because I might get like conspiratorial. I might get crazy or whatnot. I might get the tinfoil hat on my head. So careful on that.
Hey, we're ready for that.
All right. Well,
thank you for having me here. Everyone that's listening, appreciate it. Keep supporting independent media. There's a lot of work that goes behind here. Hernan is, a witness of that. So shout out to your team as well. And I've enjoyed having OC and Rigo come and shoot it with us. So let's continue to grow this shit. I think I always say this. The more we do communicate, the more we're gonna make this culture grow, and we're part of it.
100%, bro. It's up to all of us to help grow this community, to help push this team, to run the media landscape, and I think we've done a good job this year. And everybody's only getting bigger. And as long as we all help each other out, I think good things can happen for everybody, bro. So I'm gonna take you up on that offer. I will be in the Otra Por Favor studio very soon. I'm gonna do what Ozzy and Diego did, and we're gonna have a good show. So shout out to my G for being here. Shout out to Rigo. Shout out to everybody. And thank you for being here, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed our conversation, and we'll see you soon. Ciao.